So what is the one big retirement truth that nobody seems to want to tell us? And before I get there, I want to share with you what this setting is behind me. This is Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, and it's about the size of Lake Tahoe. And there's half a dozen, maybe 9 villages that dot across the perimeter of this lake. And really the only way to get from one village to the other is by boat. And it costs $2 or $3 to get to one village or the other. So it's a unique experience. I'm here in Guatemala. I don't know for how long, at least a week and possibly up to a month, which leads to one of the good things about retiring in your 50s or your early 60s is you still have your health, you still have your physical abilities, you still have your full mental acuity, and so you can do adventures like this. And that's one of the things I enjoy about having retired in my late 50s is I have a chance to do things like this. One of the things I'm looking forward to on this trip is climbing an active volcano, which they say is like a 3 or 4 hour hike. You spend the night there and then you hike down in the morning and you get to see the volcano erupting. So is that something I can do at my age? Yes, it is something I can do at my age. Is that something I could do when I'm 70? I don't know. You know, that's in 10 years. I hope so. I do know some 70-year-olds. I know some 75-year-olds, and I also know a handful of 80-year-olds that could do something like that, but there's not many, which leads me into the one retirement truth that folks don't seem to want to talk about, right? So many financial advisors, myself included, talk about the money aspects of preparing for retirement and the value of having a fully funded retirement, a retirement that you know you're financially secure and that you have a 95, a 97% likelihood of never running out of money. But the retirement truth that people don't seem to want to talk about is we only have limited time. And so that's scarce, but even more scarce than that is how much healthy, active time that we have. If you're in your 50s, if you're 55, if you're 60, the reality is the likelihood is, particularly for 60-year-olds, if we get 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time in front of us, we're super fortunate, right? Most of us are not going to get 1,000 weeks at 60 of healthy, active time. You know, at 60, the life expectancy for a man is somewhere in the early 80s. But the real question, or another important question, I shouldn't say the real question, but another really important question is how much time do we have where we can be healthy, active, and do the things that we want to do things like this trip here. And according to the World Health Organization, while people in Southeast Asia, while people in Japan, in other parts of the world have until their early 70s until they have a major health issue. Unfortunately in the United States, unfortunately in Canada, unfortunately in many parts of Europe, in the UK, most men are going to have a major health issue by their mid to late 60s. For instance, in the United States, it's 66.1 years old. That's just 13 months after when the average person in the United States retires, 65. So they have 13 months until they're dealing with a major health issue. Now, can you do trips like this if you have a major health issue? I think so. You probably can, depending on what your situation is. But as I record this, I am thankful for my health. And it's much easier for me to do a trip like this, right? If I had a heart attack in the last 12 months, would I feel comfortable being here? I mean, while this is a beautiful village, it's a beautiful lake, the reality is if I had a heart emergency here, I'd be in trouble, right? I'd be pretty far from a hospital that could probably help me to the same, at the level that I would want to be helped. So the secret that nobody wants to talk about, the advice that people want to kind of sweep under the rug is just this limited amount of time, healthy, active time, when we can do things like this. So you want to cherish this time. Let me show you a little bit. This is my hotel. It's not sponsored by this hotel, but you know, this is less than $50 a night. It's a beautiful hotel. It's on a beautiful, like I said, a beautiful lake here. You can see the boats. There's lots of activities. It's just a relaxing setting. And again, how this relates to retirement is, you know, how much longer can I plan on being able to do something like this? How much longer can you plan on being able to do something like this? And a lot of people have travel on their list of activities. Now, it's also important, another truth, that financial advisors, myself included before I retired, don't talk enough about is the financial aspects are just one piece of the retirement puzzle. In fact, I think as important to your financial security in your financial future is thinking about what you're going to do in retirement. And it's easy to give an answer. It's easy to say, hey, I'm going to do what Azul's doing, right? I'm going to go to Latin America. I'm going to practice my Spanish. I'm going to have these different adventures. But, you know, while travel is an easy thing to say, yes, I want to do this, the reality is it's not for everybody. And I see these tours with people that are in their 70s, their mid-60s, their 70s, and they're all in a group together. And if you're from the United States or you're from England, you're probably traveling you're surrounding yourself with a group of people from your country, which can be nice, and there's no right or wrong way to travel, but you're robbing yourself of the chance to really get to know the local culture and to get to know the local people and what life is really like in that culture. So yes, it's important to have the financial security, but it's also important to have the health security. And then it's also important to know what you want to do. For me, you know, being able to travel is something that I want to do. Getting better at a foreign language is something that I want to do. I'm married, so doing things that my wife and I enjoy doing together and building this life, you know, empty nest life, post raising our kids, and what does that life look like for us? So having this purpose, and the reality is having a purpose is super important in retirement. In fact, if you give me a choice myself, I can retire with an 80% confidence level, but have a really strong purpose in life, knowing what the next phase of my life and what I want to do. If you give me a choice between 80% financial security and having that strong purpose, or a 95% financial security, a 95% likelihood of never having to worry about money, but not knowing what the purpose is of my next chapter, I would choose the first. I would choose knowing what my purpose is, knowing what I want to do in retirement, because that's a really difficult transition. But at some point, we all have to make that transition, which is why I made this video up here, which is kind of the companion to this video. And that is 8 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy your journey more and hopefully maybe discover your purpose for retirement. So thanks for watching this one. I'll see you in that one.